What the human race has not done for the development of civilization. Sometimes the development of civilization has combined nature with artifice. As a result, this incredible place of nature has become more vibrant, made the world economy richer, and created a unique symbol of human civilization. One such landmark is the Suez Canal. In today's episode, I will tell you about Suez Canal. The Suez Canal was dug out of desert sand in Egypt's Sinai Peninsula. For more than 150 years, the man-made Suez Canal has been connecting the Mediterranean Sea with the Red Sea. Here is one of the world's most incredible sights, a huge ocean liner drifting through the middle east of the desert. The digging of Suez Canal showed economic impact of shipping goods by sea. Before the construction of this canal, a ship had to go around the continent of Africa to come from Europe to South Asia. It took about 40 to 50 days to travel from South Asia to Europe. Due to the Suez Canal, the sea distance between Europe and South Asia has decreased by about 7,000 kilometers, and that time has reduced to about 20 days only. Around 19th century BC, the ancient Egyptian civilization had a canal similar to the Suez Canal. First, Sesostris, pharaoh of Egypt, ordered a canal to be dug from the Red Sea to the Nile River. His later pharaohs then dug canals between the Mediterranean Sea and the Red Sea that were then navigable. This canal was still in operation for about 1,200 years. Later, as a result of the desert storm, several parts of this canal were filled and created Beta Lake and Timsha Lake. In the 6th century BC, Pharaoh Necho wanted to dig this canal again. About 100 years later, the Persian king Darius began digging the section closer to the Mediterranean Sea, and the canal was completed 2 centuries later during the reign of Second Ptolemy. The canal was later filled again by desert sands and buried for 1,000 years. The current Suez Canal also based on the Ptolemaic Canal. In 1498, the Portuguese navigator Vasco da Gama discovered the waterway to India by crossing the Cape of Good Hope in Africa. The route discovered by Vasco da Gama took about 4 months to reach India from Europe. After that, for about 400 years, British, Dutch, and Portuguese ships ruled this sea route. The Industrial Revolution, which began in the mid-18th century, brought great social and economic change to Europe. At the same time, there was a revolution in the construction of seagoing ships. During this time, instead of the ancient wooden ships, modern steel giant ships began to be built. These steel ships were capable of carrying large quantities of raw materials from Asia. But the journey of these modern ships around the intercontinent of Africa would take a lot of time. Therefore, Europe's attention was forced to the Suez coast. Since the Red Sea is 10 meters higher than the Mediterranean Sea, the sea of digging a canal was ruled out at that time. Later, a French engineer named Ferdinand de Lesseps took the initiative to dig the Suez Canal. The Suez Canal Company was formed on 15th December 1858 to dig the Suez Canal. But then the British started opposing the Suez Canal. The British thought that since the French were in charge of digging the canal, after the canal was complete, the French might not allow the British to travel on this route due to fear and enmity. Also, the British did not want any other European country to share the dominion they had established in the Indian subcontinent. In order to prevent the digging of the canal, the British government prohibited various European banks from lending to the project, At that time, Egypt was an autonomous region under the Ottoman Empire. Muhammad Said Pasha, the ruler of Egypt at the time, was able to borrow a lot of money from some European banks at very high interest rates. After Muhammad Said's death in 1863, his nephew Ismail Pasha came to power in Egypt. The canal was then dug for 10 years from 1859 to 1869 with the ambitious goal of connecting the Red Sea to the Mediterranean. According to official data, about 1 million Egyptians were engaged in digging canals. Construction materials were transported on camels and mules. According to experts, thousands of people died in the process of building the Suez Canal. On November 17, 1869, the first ship floated on the 164-kilometer long canal. But this waterway has had to go through the turbulent history of the Middle East. In July 1956, the tipping point arrived. Egypt's then iconic president, Jamal Abdel Nasser, emerged as a champion of Arab old India. He nationalized the Suez Canal Company, the company that operated the canal, against British and French interests. As a result of the decision, the popularity of President Nasser increased in his country, but it created an international crisis. 3 months later, France and Britain, two countries controlling the Suez Canal Company, as well as Israel, attacked Egypt. The Suez Canal was also used as a staging area for the Arab-Israel War from 1967 to 1973. The Suez Canal was closed until April 1957 due to the crisis caused by the nationalization of the Suez Canal in 1956. In addition, the Suez Canal was closed for 8 long years from 1967 to 1975. During the Arab-Israel War, at that time, Egypt had deliberately sunk 40 ships and stopped shipping in the Suez Canal. French diplomat Ferdinand de Lesseps is credited with masterminding the Suez Canal project. The Suez Canal is currently managed by the Suez Canal Authority. The canal was winded in 2015 to facilitate the movement of modern and larger ships. The Suez Canal was initially 164 kilometers long and 8 meters deep. After several renovations and expansions, it is 190.3 kilometers long, 24 meters deep and 205 meters wide at the narrowest point. According to 2010 estimates, the canal is owned by Egypt's Suez Canal Authority. Thanks for watching.